The Minnesota Vikings are set to draft their quarterback of the future for the organization, and there's been a lot of speculation of what the Vikings might have to do in order to draft the guy that they actually want. One of those speculations being trading up in the draft. We could sit at 11 and hope that, J.J. McCarthy falls to us, or we wait till 23 to take Michael Penix or Bo Nix and stuff like that. But the thought of potentially maybe Denver jumping us in the draft would not sit well with most folks in the organization, just because that means we might be out another year waiting for our quarterback. So what might the Vikings do? There's been a lot of speculation of trading up and adding these, the 2 first-round picks that we got, that 23rd overall and the 11th overall, bundling them to move up to what I've seen the most with the Chargers at number 5. And yeah, that makes sense, but do you really want to trade all the way up to number 5 when there is that possibility that J.J. McCarthy could slip to 11? Or do you want to maybe bounce up to the top 3 picks? You're not going to get the number 1 overall pick. Okay, Chicago is going to take Caleb Williams. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That's just what's going to happen. The Washington Commanders, okay, you're probably not going to get that 2nd overall pick because, again, they got rid of Sam Howell. They really don't have a quarterback in the building other than, I can't remember off the top of my head, but they are going to draft a quarterback, plain and simple. Then you look at the New England Patriots, a team that let go of Mac Jones, has a quarterback issue. They need a quarterback of the future, but might not be as quarterback friendly of a team as we might seem. And we've also heard Jared Mayo's comments about drafting a quarterback at that number 3 spot and maybe trading out of it and stuff like that. And he seems kind of unedged. He's like, yeah, we would draft a quarterback, but there's that possibility we trade out of it and stuff. So I went and dove through the internet and looked at the recent speculation of what the Vikings might do to trade up to draft a quarterback of the future. And one of them is a wild 3-team trade that could end up sending us to the number 3 overall pick, which would be fantastic to select the new quarterback of the future for the Minnesota Vikings. So let's get right to it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It'd be much appreciated. So there are endless possibilities for the Minnesota Vikings to trade into the 5 picks of this year's draft for a quarterback, but few have considered the potential the Vikings make not 1, but 2 moves in the first round. CBS Sports fantasy managing editor RJ White has done that, offering a 3-team trade proposal involving the Los Angeles Chargers and the New England Patriots that could surface come draft night on April 27th. Here is what White wrote. It really feels like the Vikings have signaled that they'll do what it takes to get into position to draft a quarterback. I think it'll ultimately result in making 2 moves, a la the Carson Wentz trade of 2016 that saw the Eagles move from number 15 to number 8 to number 2. Here are the trade details, okay? The Vikings trade the Los Angeles Chargers their 2 first-round picks this year at number 11 and number 23 in exchange for that number 5 overall pick. That ain't it. Then they would offer that number 5 overall pick and their 2025 first-round pick to the New England Patriots to move up to number 3. So 3 first-rounders seems to be the price it would take to move up to 3 when considering the San Francisco 49ers move from number 12 to number 3 for Trey Lance in 2021. Now, okay, making this a 3-team trade is basically would give us the best chance to talk the Patriots down, talk them out of maybe wanting to trade that number 3 pick. That's what the Vikings are trying to do here. If we can get it to number 3 and maybe have a chance at Drake May or Jaden Daniels or something like that, that'd be phenomenal. More specifically, would love Jaden Daniels over Drake May. Okay, Drake May seems like a guy that's going to have to sit a year. At least that's what all the experts are saying. But this trade would help talk the Patriots down a little bit, maybe give them a little bit more encouragement, if you will. Maybe there's a better word for that, but to maybe trade that number 3 pick to us, move down to number 5, where then they can take and make their decision at quarterback, like a J.J. McCarthy or whoever is left. So we could talk them down with this 3-team trade, and the Vikings acquiring the number 23 overall pick in a trade with the Houston Texans after moving on from Kirk Cousins signaled another trade on the horizon. Okay, we already seen that. As soon as that was done, everyone immediately said, oh boy, Vikings are bundling those 2 picks. We're going to trade up in the first round. We're going to draft the quarterback of the future. But nothing has happened, okay? Which could mean more moving parts need to play out before the Vikings can cement their spot in the top 5. Now, Sports Illustrated Albert Breer reported that New England has not shown an appetite to trade down just yet this offseason. However, White's proposal would make sense for a Patriots team that doesn't have an ideal situation for a rookie quarterback. Asking New England to drop just 2 spots and still pick in the top 5 could be more palatable for the Patriots, especially with the likelihood of drafting a top 2 wide receiver or a franchise offensive tackle in play. Meanwhile, the Chargers just cleaned house, okay, and have a bevy of draft needs other than quarterback. Okay, they don't need a quarterback, right? They also picked a first-round receiver in Quentin Johnston last year, and instead could use that number 11 pick to land a blue-chip edge rusher, defensive interior lineman, or cornerback, or DB, for those of you that get confused and think I say quarterback instead of cornerback. Sorry about that. But Jim Harbaugh would likely revel in jumpstarting the Chargers with 2 first-round picks this year. Okay, I think that would benefit the Chargers massively, right? They don't have a need at quarterback. They could pick up a tight end, aka Brock Bowers, or go the receiver route, which they did lose Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So that's kind of what everyone's thinking what direction they're gonna head in. But White's proposal makes sense for all sides, and I gotta say, as much as I've been on the keeping those first 2 round picks is a must for the Vikings, because I think that's in the best interest of the organization. Waiting at number 11, taking what you're dealt, with whatever's left on the board. Basically, if McCarthy's not on the board, you can wait till 23 to take your quarterback, Bo Nix, or Michael Penix, right? And then you can draft a defensive edge rusher, which we need, and a defensive interior lineman, which we need at that 11th overall pick. But if we're looking at a Jaden Daniels possibility of being in Minnesota, I would I would enjoy that. And having to get rid of not only this year's first round pick, but next year's as well to move up to do so, I think it's so tough. But I think it'd be a smart move for Minnesota, just because it's a perennial player, a franchise guy who we expect to be there for the next 10 years, or at least 5 years, his rookie deal and stuff like that. But this is just one of the many trades that are flying around. You guys can let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. What should the Vikings do? Should we look at this trade as a possibility? Or, obviously we're going to have to wait till draft night to see what pans out. But this is just one of those wild trades that we're seeing around the internet. You let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and Skol Vikes.